Happy 4th of July. I am making this video today because it's a very hot day. I've been having every day for over a week now. It's been 102 to 105. And of course I'm concerned about my fish. And the water's fairly clear. I can see all the way down to the bottom. But it has that green tinge to it. And I feel as though I can actually see the algae, growing. And of course, here's the rocks all covered with algae. The fish rub against the rocks, and so that causes them to float in the water. And so I figure, well, it's hot, and you gotta expect some algae. But I've never given any details about the mechanics, and I just thought that might interest someone. As I mentioned before, this is a swimming pool that I converted. So I'm going to take you for a little walk here. Here's the skimmer hole. I measured today, and they, I think I figured it's about 87, I remember it's 87 or 7 or 8 feet back here to the Big Bertha. This is Big Bertha. My filter. And here is the pump. Now, my body does not get into the position of reading that label, and I tried a mirror, and I don't read backwards and upside down very well, but it looks like it's either 1 or 1 3/4 horsepower, and I did have it reworked so that it would be a 2-phase. So I have it on low right now, and as you can see, this is 2-inch pipe, and that was the motor for the pool skimmer. And so I had this used to have just that plunger here where you push it to backwash, and I wasn't able to lift it and so forth, so I had this put in so I can turn it to filter, and I can turn it to backwash, and I can turn it to waste if I want to vacuum the pond, and then the waste goes right out to the street rather than going through the system. And then here's my UV lights, which are 40 watts each, and I clean those whenever I think about it. And inside this, I think this is supposed to be this is a sand filter. Here's the label over here. But there is a little bit of sand. Well, I mean, it's kind of gravelly stuff. It's not really sand, but they call it a sand filter, I guess. Anyway, I was supposed to put bio beads or something in there, and that was a lot of money, so I just put in, I went to the dollar store and I got toys and back brushes, and I think the little balls the children play with, wiffle balls, or they're balls with holes in them, and just anything that I can think of that would hold the bacteria. And I checked the nitrites and the ammonia are 0, and I've never had an issue with the pH. So everything is working just fine. Of course, I'd like to have crystal clear water at all times, but this time of year, with it being so hot, I just don't think that's going to happen. It's 10,000 gallons. It's 5 feet on either end, 6 feet in the middle, and the sun is shining too brightly. That's my big boy. I'm guessing he's 25, 28 inches long. and I bought him when he was about 3 inches long, about 7 years ago. He grew very rapidly. Since this was a swimming pool, the sides had the white tiles with the little patterns on it. So I had about 2 feet down, I had rocks placed all around the edges to give it a more natural look. The swimming pool originally had this brick wall in the back, and the waterfall was there, but it was just a one-level waterfall, and I had a box put in so that I could have my filter pads up there, and then the man created this nice flowing waterfall with rocks, flat rocks. And I have cinder blocks put in to make an island because I wanted the fish to be able to have a place to hide. I do not have any plants because I have 4 ducks, and ducks eat the plants. I tried. It doesn't work. So I wanted them to have a place to hide, and so there's 2 openings on either side, and I had the cinder blocks covered with rocks, so it was more natural. I'm not happy with my island. It looks like a pile of rocks, but it is what it is. And this is the area where people would get down on the steps to get into the pond. So I had a fellow place all these flat rocks, and then he brought in these large boulder type rocks, and of course I had to play around with some little rocks, and I have daffodils that grow up in here in the springtime. And then I don't want the camera to go into the sun because and now from this angle the water looks brown. In the evening it looks crystal clear. When the sun goes down, I feed the fish about 6:30. It looks really nice and clear. But right now I can see the fuzzies in there. I don't like those fuzzies, but I'm sure it's just because it's very, very hot. I had this deck built. The water goes just to about here, and this is all just dirt underneath here. But I wanted to be able to come out here and sit on the deck, and this is where they get fed, so I call this the dining room. So, have I left anything out? So I do have the 2 speeds for the waterfall, and right now it's on low. I figure if I have it on low that the UV lights will work better on the algae. But I just can't figure out how I've read about it, and I can figure out how fast the water should turn over, or how fast it is turning over. But I do turn it on high early in the morning just because it makes me feel like the fish are getting more oxygen, and moves the water a little bit faster to get rid of some of the debris on top. Although I do hose the surface, especially when the ducks are molting. And so I do that early in the morning, and then I do it midday before the rakes go up at 2 o'clock. And then I do it again in the evening, right before I go to bed. I turn it on high. So that's the story. Oh, and I don't know how many fish I have. When I moved here, I had about a dozen, and then I bought the butterfly koi and some of these big ones, and so I had a few dozen fish. And then they had babies 3 years ago, and there were 40 babies I counted, and then 2 years ago I had more babies, and that was 20 that time, so that made 60. So I've got probably over 80 fish in there. And I vacuum it with a iRobot, and also I have the regular vacuum that you use in the swimming pool. That works real good, except it's kind of hard for me to move that big old hose around. I prefer the robot, but right now it doesn't work, so it's nice to have two choices. Okay, can't think of anything else to tell you. Oh, I've had this pond for about 12 years, I guess. And I also have, I have had up 7 water turtles, and, well, you can see a lot of that on my YouTube videos. And frogs. I have 1 frog right now. So those are some of the details of the Paradise Pond. That's what I call this place, Paradise. Thanks for watching.